Hi, everyone. I'm your host, Laura Nelson of Signpost. We're here today with Acculynx success coach, Matt Morrison, to talk about how contractors can better manage their sales cycle with the right type of lead management processes in place. So thanks, Matt, for chatting with us today. I know you're passionate about teaching roofing contractors the secret to creating a thriving business, and really look forward to hearing about your background and your insights. But first, we have an ongoing tradition here at Signpost about pizza references. So if you don't mind sharing, what is the one thing you'd never put on your pizza?
Well, I can't say never because I did it once, but because of the once, it will now be never, and that's anchovies. My dad loves anchovies, and we tried to make one for him and do something special. And like big old pizza, we put anchovies like right over here, and that anchovy somehow smell made it across the entire pizza. So no, I will not be putting anchovies on pizza anymore. No.
Fair enough. That is a popular answer. So appreciate that insight and a little family story as well.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, could you give us a little bit of background on and how you came into this role at Acculynx and what you're all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So, years ago, I worked for a large nationwide contractor out of the Midwest. And at the time, the owners were thinking, hey, we need some software. And so I was kind of their operations, nerdy, techie, behind the scenes, whatever kind of guy, went out and did a bunch of digging, and I found Acculynx. So Acculynx was a good fit for our operations and our services. And so we brought that on and onboarded it. And then sometime later, Acculynx approached me and wanted to see if I'd be willing to join their team. And so Acculynx seemed a good fit for me too. So that's a long story made very short, but that's the basic gist of it. So I came on not exactly knowing what I was going to get involved in, and did a little bit of everything. And this success coach thing and training customers has really kind of become something that I'm super passionate about. I mean, I enjoy just helping people succeed in whatever they're going after, whatever they're striving for. But Acculynx has just been a really good fit for helping me both personally and professionally meet the same goals. So
that's awesome. And how long have you been at Acculynx?
Just had my 9th anniversary about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow. So, congrats. Yeah. That's a nice long time. So, and I'm sure you've seen a lot change over the course.
And I've seen 1 or 2 contractors during those times. It's been fun to kind of observe how people do functionally the same thing, but do it differently, and some of the common good ideas that people have and some of the common bad ideas that people have, and trying to work with them to find some better solutions there. So it's been a lot of fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Great. And so for all the viewers, if they're not aware, I actually know Matt through our association with the Catalyst Group.
Yeah.
Well, Acculynx and Signpost are vendor members. And if you are a contractor and not aware of this group, please find us online on Facebook, Instagram, you name it. We are a vetted group of vendors really committed to doing things right for the contractors. Right. And we band together and help one another and really want to just help push the industry forward in terms of the knowledge base that we can all share. Of course, technology is a big piece of it, but really we are better together. That's
absolutely.
Really the goal of the Catalyst Group. So
right. Go Catalyst Group.
Yep. Yes, exactly. It's been great to meet people like you, Matt, and others to really better the industry and have these conversations. So with that, let's dive into the discussion.
Let's do it. Can't wait.
We want to talk about lead management and the sales pipeline, right? Yep. So we see a lot of chatter online, and we talk about this at conferences a lot, right? Contractors want more leads. They want more leads to drive more business and drive their revenue forward each and every year. But we find that a lot of them fall down in the process. And if they're not systematized, they don't have the best chance of closing leads and bettering their business. So this is a huge topic. So let's start there. Why is lead management an issue for many contractors? Isn't it really straightforward? You get a lead and then you call them?
Well, yeah, but I mean, you want to be able to kind of quantify these leads, right? I mean, if I throw 1,000 leads at you and you can only run 10 appointments a day, what's the point, right? You've got to be able to figure out who is it that's really a good fit for us, and are we a good fit for them? I mean, that's a two-way street, right? Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you want to be able to figure out a way to qualify or quantify those guys pretty quickly. So yeah, you want to call them back, but you want to be able to try to put them into segments, right? Is this a repair lead? Is this a service call? Is this a guy calling because they got a warranty complaint or a problem? Or is this new construction, or, whatever the case might be? And those may require different results, or I'm sorry, not different results, but different responses. Right, maybe by different people. And so you want to make sure that you're slotting those leads to the right people so that they can be responded to in the appropriate way. And if we've got bogus things slipping through, maybe we triage those lower. If if we're doing a storm environment and we know the storm hit here and some guy calls us from way the heck over there, I mean, not that we don't care, but in all likelihood, this is where we're focusing our efforts right now. So yeah, you want to call them, but you want to know who you're calling and why you're calling them and what you're calling them about and what your response is going to be.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's a great point, because like even in the step before, we want to make sure that, we're driving quality leads for the company overall, but then, if we don't triage them, right, there's no chance that we're going to win that business.
Yeah. I mean, 25 quality leads in my book is way better than 100, maybe quality leads, because I'm going to waste a lot more time figuring out which of those 100 are quality.
Absolutely.
Right. And my closing ratio is going to suffer, and I'm going to probably run some appointments that are just wastes of time. So no, you absolutely want to be able to figure that out and know where those people are and focus your efforts on what you can do. Maybe you need to add more people to your team, but right now you've got the people you've got. So what can those people handle?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you bring up that point, because like capacity and speed are everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here at Signpost, we're all about customer communication and responding to those leads. We find in many cases that you have to get in touch with a potential customer within a matter of minutes, not just hours.
Yeah,
it can make the difference between like getting the lead or they move on to the next guy on the list. So with that in mind, what do you recommend as a best practice to making initial contact?
So, I mean, I guess, I hate to say it depends, because it sounds like I'm passing the buck, but it really
Yeah.
does. I mean, if it's Laura and Matt's roofing company, we don't have a lot of bandwidth, right? Now, if it's Laura and Matt's roofing empire and we got 50 people, well, now I've got more bandwidth. So I don't want to say universally just always do this, because that's going to be very contingent upon the nature of your company, the experience you're trying to give your customers. Are you doing a 1-call close or a 2-call close? Are you trying to spend 3 hours per account or 30 minutes per account? I mean, some of that's going to depend upon your culture and your approach, but I would say just in general, maybe consider automations, right? Are there ways to send out intelligent automatic responses to these customers so that they know you heard them? I'll give you a real life story. Last fall, I had to get some gutters done. You don't want to know how many responses I got to my phone calls? 1, and I made like 5. Some of them were my customers, which was kind of embarrassing, right? I was calling some local guys. I was like, can I get a gutter quote? I got one guy who came out and then texted me a number, which was insane, by the way. And then I never heard from the guy again, right?
Wow.
And nobody else ever called me back, ever. No, I left voicemails, I sent emails, nothing, right? So now maybe those guys are swamped and slammed and busy. I get it. We've all been there. But if you can try to find a way to at least, now if you can't physically pick up the phone and call them, then at least simulate it. Right? Send them an email, send them a text message, use automations. Acculynx has got some tools like that, right? Lead comes in, you can set up an automation, a flow. If it's this type of a thing, then send this message out. And at least that way the customer realizes that you've got you've actually got a hold of somebody. Now, of course, it's on you to follow up with that. But if you can at least start that ball rolling and give the customer a sense that, I'm being heard and you're paying attention to me, I think that's at least a good start. Now, of course, after that, you want to be able to provide them an estimate and, and have everybody in the company know what's going on and being able to find them. But in terms of just right off the ball or right off the cuff, I would say, try automations. If your company doesn't have the manpower, woman power, whichever, to get that, to get to somebody personally right away.
Yeah, I love that. And kind of 2 responses to that really are like that inability to reach you by phone is compounded when we think about all the other channels that they're dealing with. They're getting Facebook messages, they're getting form fills on their website, they might have chats, etc. And if they're unable to get to the phone calls, chances are they may be slow on these other channels,
right?
Too. And so they're missing all sorts of opportunities for business.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And second, automations are great, not just, for the large companies that have big technical infrastructures or technological infrastructures rather, but also for a small company to operate more professionally
Yeah.
too.
Or give the appearance of a much more sophisticated company, right?
Yes,
I remember,
absolutely.
so true story, when I was coming on to be an Acculynx customer, I didn't know at the time Acculynx was like 12 people big, but I had no idea, right? Because the experience that I got, the follow-up I got, and the emails that I got, and I was gotten, oh yes, your regional salesperson is so and so. It's like that was the only salesperson, but I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right. I was given the appearance, or the impression that I got was that Acculynx was far, far larger than they actually were. Right. And so again, if it's just Matt and Laura's company, then we can create the experience of a much larger company. And if you're a much larger company and maybe you've been around longer and you've put more time and investment into your culture and what your customer experience is going to be and all these fancy things that we hear people talking about, well, then you can use automations to get much more sophisticated with that and create that or continue that that experience. So really, whether you're a small company, there's a lot of value there until you get to the big company level. And if you're a big company, then things like that can support the experience you have, because bigger company, more leads, more moving parts, more people, equally as so, more potential for balls to get dropped and things to get slipped through the cracks. So I think that's a huge aspect of this, is what kind of experience do you want to create, and then create something that allows for that.
Absolutely. And I think another benefit of automations, as you're talking through it too, is regardless of the size of company you are, once you get a prospect into that conversation, you're moving them down the funnel and getting them closer to deciding to hire you as their roofing contractor. So,
if you think about it, like a small contractor, I mean, what's going to be their value proposition? It's like, I'm the owner and you're going to deal with me. I mean, that's the value proposition, among other things, right? One-on-one service, and you got my cell phone and whatever it is, and Laura's my partner, so it's going to be one of the two of us. I mean, that's the value proposition, right? But if we're a big, massive company, then what's the value proposition? Well, we've got people that are specialized just to put a bow around the shingles when they show up on your driveway, whatever it is, if that's the experience that you're trying to create, right? So you've got different things, but I think really, whatever the size that you're at, you want to act as if you're a company far larger than that. Right? At least if that's your goal, is to get there. If your goal is to be a small boutique operation, then fair enough. But if your goal is to grow and become a more impressive force in your area, then act as if you are, even if you're not yet. Right?
Absolutely.
And give the experience of that.
Yeah. And these tools and processes make them more competitive with the larger organizations too.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's awesome. Okay. So we've talked about ways for companies to kind of pick up the ball once a lead comes in. What are some of the challenges that come at this point of the sales process? And does it vary between those smaller guys and the larger organizations?
Yeah, I think really at that point you wind up, I mean, the automations and automated responses and those types of things are great for at least giving the impression, right? And letting the customer feel good about the fact, yes, we've got your message. But if you still can't follow up with that, then, at some point I'm going to be like, oh, that was a bot, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think, you still, some of your challenges are they still fail to follow up.
Yeah.
And I think that's because you wind up always, chasing the next lead, right?
Yeah.
If I've got 10 leads in my bucket and I got 20 more coming in, and that one person just didn't respond immediately, I'm just going to be tempted, if I'm overworked, to just forget it, because I got 20 more coming in all the time. And so I think being able to see what you've got, being able to build internal processes around, okay, maybe in the morning I go look at my lists, and if anybody hasn't been touched in a day or two or three or a week or whatever the case is, oh shoot, there was Laura Nelson, I didn't get a hold of her, did I? Right, let me get back to her. Like, if I didn't get back to you for 2 days and then called you, we're probably okay. But if it takes me 2 weeks or 2 months, you've probably long since written me off. Right. And so even if there is a little bit more of a delay than you want, at least you've got a process in to hopefully catch more of those before they get so far gone that it's a lost cause. So I think that's some of it. I think some of it is you have no clear-cut process, right? Yeah. Again, even if it is just Laura and Matt's roofing company, we should generally have an idea of what I'm going to handle and what you're going to handle, and when I hand things to you and when you hand things to me, right? And larger companies, that only compounds the problem. But I think what happens so often is that as companies grow, they just go in reactive mode, right? Oh, it's Laura and Matt, and then we hire, Laura's sister and Matt's wife and this guy's brother and whatever. And this is like, I don't know, just go sell. We'll figure it all out, and we like to think of, if we're busy and we're grinding, then we're successful. But, and to some extent, maybe, but at some point you're spinning your wheels and you're just bringing on more overhead, but you're not clearing up your processes. Years ago, I was working with a company. This guy had 4 or 5 or 6 really top-notch ladies in his office, and I was going to go do some on-site training. And I went to the first lady and I said, what's your job? And she said, oh, I'm the accounts receivable clerk. And I said, okay, well, in this company, what does that mean? What are you responsible for? Those types of things. And she was like, well, what I'm supposed to be doing is invoicing and collections and this and that, the other thing. But I find myself on the phone with customers a lot, chasing down information that this person didn't give us and that person didn't give us and so forth. And then I went to the production lady. She said, well, what I'm supposed to do is schedule, but what I really do is, and then I went to the next lady. Oh, I'm supposed to do marketing, but what I really do is, and what was going on was that they didn't have a clear-cut process of who was supposed to do what, or nobody realized what they were supposed to do, or maybe nobody was being held accountable to what they were supposed to do. And so this guy kept hiring on more and more and more and more overhead because they didn't have a process.
Yeah.
Right? It was just like, here's a problem, I'll go fix it, even though that's not my job to do. Right. And so the ladies that were hired to do one thing weren't even doing what they were hired to do, let alone, and they're not really qualified or there to do the thing that they were doing. So I think having clear-cut process and trying to rule out some of the manual operations is a really key way to do that. What is Laura going to do? Right? What's Matt going to do? And if we grow to 2, 3, 4 times our size, okay, now what am I going to do? I might not do the things that I used to do, or at least all of them,
Yeah.
So I mean, having a great system, whether it be Signpost or Acculynx or literally anything else, is great. But you got to have some people skills and processes built to like as a skeleton to support that.
Yeah, and speaking of process in this, concept of follow up, which you touched on, and where many drop the ball. How many, with the contractors that you work with, how many times do you say that they have to contact the homeowner to close a job?
I mean, I think again, it kind of hate to say it depends again,
Yeah,
right?
it does.
Because I was with a guy a couple of weeks ago. He's a one-call close guy, right? So the customer calls in, they might do a quick appointment confirmation to make sure they're going to be there, and then you go out, you're trying to close them. But other people take a very different approach to it. But I think whether it's 1 step or 20 steps, what's important is that you've got documentation of what it is. A, everyone knows what they're going to do. And then B, you're logging that information. So whether you respond as a customer the very first time, or it takes me 10 tries, anybody can log in and see, well, Miss Nelson, it looks like we've called you, whatever times. And we talked to you then, this person called you then, and we talked about that. So I think your business model is going to kind of dictate that to some degree. But I think what's important is that making sure that the information, whatever your business model is someplace where anybody can find it. So that if I'm going to pick up the ball of this lead, I kind of have a quick story of what was happening, what we saw, what we talked about, or maybe what we tried to talk about, and that can, move the ball that much further down the field.
Got it. Okay. You mentioned earlier on qualifying leads. I want you to expand on that a little bit. So if you're a roofing contractor, what kind of information do you need to get early in the interaction with a new prospective customer that's going to help you qualify that lead, and what key steps need to be put into place to make sure that you have it?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it depends again, but let's just draw the two, broad categories, right? You got your storming guys that focus on insurance-based work. Primarily, they're working for insurance proceeds and they're working in storm-prone areas. And then you've got your retail guys like on the East Coast and some of these places where storms don't happen so often. If they do, it's sporadic, but mainly they're selling jobs for cash, right? So I think in those two situations, if you're on a storm side, I mean, first of all, just are they even in a place where a storm hit that we know of, right? I mean, that would be the most obvious one. But do they have insurance? Are they just shopping for bids, or are they looking for a quality contractor who's going to work with their insurance carrier? What kind of experience are they even going for? Right. If I used to do storm-based sales, and if I walk in a guy's house and he's got a stack of estimates and folders on his counter, I know he's not really serious about it. Right. He's just shopping, looking to see how much money he can stick in his pocket. And if that's the type of business you do, then fair enough. But that wasn't the type of business that I did. So, I pretty well within about 13 seconds figured out this guy's probably not going to be a good fit. right? And of course, so being able to figure that out. Now, if you can have like a little bit of a call center where people call and verify and confirm, like, do you have insurance? Do you have an RCV policy?
Mhm.
What's your deductible? Are you willing to pay that deductible? Those types of things, and kind of rule out the guys that are just kicking the tires that are probably going to waste your time or cost you a bunch of time and then walk and go to the other guy anyway.
Yeah.
Those are types of things that you might want to do. On the retail side, do we even have the ballpark of right expectations? Right? If you come to me wanting one of those cool roofs I see on like Roofing Contractor magazine with grass on the roof, and I don't do grass roofs, I'm not going to waste my time with you, right?
Right.
If you want metal and I don't do metal, great. I mean, cool, but I might know a guy, right? So I think first of all, I just want to figure out, do they even want to work with us? I mean, I know they clicked on a form somewhere, but okay, now that they've clicked on the form, I mean, look, we get guys at Acculynx who fill out our lead form thinking we're Eagle View or something, right? It's like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste my time with this guy. There's a mistake. That's cool. Let's rule that one out real fast before I waste time going out and doing a presentation with you, or ordering a diagram or whatever the case might be.
Yeah, I think that those are really important distinctions between, restoration work, retail work, and then of course, like, commercial, residential. If your company is doing heavily weighted in one side or the other, make sure that information's in your lead form, right? Just
Yeah.
add a simple checkbox and let people self-select into one category or another. That's going to save you guys a lot of headaches and time.
And I think if you're going to do that, here's you ever heard the concept of the curse of knowledge? I listened to a podcast about this a little while ago. The curse of knowledge is, I don't know that you don't know what I know, right? Here's an example. If I'm all like, do you want asphalt fiberglass shingles? What homeowner is going to know that? Right. And so if you start putting in things that are in your mind obvious, they're not obvious to them. Right. And so put things in there. It's like, maybe what do you value most? Oh, I value the lowest price, or I value most, long lasting roof, or something to that effect. Now you're like, oh, this guy's a metal roof candidate, or this guy's an asphalt shingle candidate, right? Don't put things in there that are jargon. They don't know what you know. You're the roofer. That's why they're hiring you. If they knew about roofing, they wouldn't be calling you, right?
Absolutely.
So put things in there so that the qualifications that you're getting in are actually useful information. And if I put a bunch of jargon in there, I'm going to probably still have to call back and confirm that the jargon that you answered is what you thought you were answering. And probably half the time it won't be. So put things in there that speak the language of the customer, not your language. They don't speak your language, right? I'm a software guy. I don't want to say dumb it down, but I'm going to use different terminologies if I'm talking to somebody that doesn't understand computers than if I'm somebody that does. It's the same product, but I'm going to ask them a different question to figure out if we're on the same page. Right.
Yeah.
So you got to assume that the customer doesn't know anything, and probably you wouldn't be wrong half the time, but assume they don't know anything. So the questions get you actually valuable information.
Yeah. Very good point. We've been talking a lot about things from the back office point of view. And from our perspective at Signpost, we know that some of the smallest details in the back office can be really pivotal in shaping what customers experience in their journey with contractors.
Right.
How does having a management solution, like, particularly a CRM in this case, make an impact for customers? What do they see differently?
So, your classic CRM is, customer relationship management, right? So what they're going to see is, of course, either automated messages or people getting in touch with them more frequently, because I can see very quickly, hey, I need to reach out to this person. It's been a while, or here's the last communication that we had, or it's been this long since I sent an estimate out, or something like that, right? So what they're going to hopefully see, if you are utilizing the tool correctly, is a much better experience, more consistent follow-up and more consistent messaging. Again, not to toot my own horn, but if you've got automations built, right, now when the job gets scheduled, or when these things, other key milestones happen, right? See, the classic CRM stops once the job's sold. Right. But if a contractor said, okay, well, I got a contract and some money, guess we're good, right? That's not what the customer wants, right? If I'm selling you a widget, then I'm going to deliver you the widget and be done. But in the contracting world, that's the first step. Now you got to go build it and pull permits and schedule it and keep in touch with them all throughout that process and invoice them. And if there's insurance, that just multiplies the amount of things that have to be done, right? So I think, again, what a CRM allows indirectly is going to be that company has the ability to create and manage a process that you're going to experience, right? At Acculynx, I like to say we're not a CRM, we're a CRM and then some, right? Because it's not just the front end. Now you got to produce it and invoice it and all the other things that go along with it. I think you're going to find that you're going to be more likely to have a contractor who can head things off at the pass. because they find the problem before it becomes a problem, right?
Yep.
There's an art to dealing with problems. And if you're in construction, you're going to have them. Crap goes down, right? But there's a skill to making the problem never happen in the first place, right? There's an art to that. There's a skill to dealing with problems, right? There's an art to making the problem never happen, right? Avoiding those things, knowing there's a common pitfall over here, there's a common misunderstanding over there. And I think having a system, having a company that's fully utilizing a CRM and has a good solid internal process to go along with it, you're going to start to see that you just have fewer issues, except for the emergencies, like somebody made a mistake and fell off the roof or something like that, right? But the common things get bypassed, right? You're also going to find that they might be able to offer more options, right? So many CRMs offer things like digital document signing and financing and digital payment processing and things like that just increase the experience. And especially in the last year, where people maybe don't want to come near you so much, or they don't feel comfortable with it, or whatever, or even just I'm working with some guy that's 10 states away, for that matter, right? Being able to offer touchless things through technology is hugely valuable, right? Not only to helping you close the sale, right, but also to be able to managing that process throughout the rest of the throughout actually fulfilling it.
Yeah. And so let's talk about that, like particularly the end, right? We talked a lot about lead management and the sales funnel earlier. And now you've mentioned a whole lot of benefits that a company like Acculynx can provide with their technology. But I think like the end is really important, right? Like contractors finish the job, and there's a real opportunity here for referrals and reviews and continuing that relationship with the homeowners.
Yeah.
How should contractors approach this, and how can Acculynx specifically help support this?
I would say they shouldn't approach it at the end. I would say they should approach it at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right. My friend Adam Bensman over at the Roofing Strategist, he's huge on referrals. And his program, he's got 12 steps from the very first time you talk to this person until the time you close their job out when you're asking for referrals, right? If I ask you for a referral to sitting at your dining room table, you might kind of freeze up. I don't know, call my cousin, whatever it is, right? At that time, though, I'm promising you that I'm going to give you a good experience, right? Do you have one yet? I mean, to some degree, yes, but I ultimately haven't put your roof on yet. Right. And who knows how that's going to go. Right. So I would say you start asking at the beginning, and then every flipping time you're talking to that person, you got a referral, you got a referral, you got a referral, you got a referral. Maybe then they finally give you one at the end. But if you start at the end, then, you're just reducing the amount of time. I mean, again, Adam's a huge proponent of not just asking once, you ask every freaking time you talk to the guy, right? So I wouldn't say don't wait till the end. That's the key. If you're waiting till the end, you've missed huge opportunities prior to all of that. And again, if you go back to Acculynx using automations, those can be automated, right? Links, hey, you got a referral for us? Click on here to do that, or respond back and we'll give you, I don't know, gift card to Outback. I mean, however you guys are going to run that, So automate that, right? That's too important to just forget. That's too important for, the secretary to go, oh, sorry, I was so busy with this and that, the other thing that I forgot to ask for a referral, right? So, put that into automation so that every time you turn around, a request for referrals going out. And of course, when you're talking to people as well, right? And somewhere along the way, they're going to probably say yes.
Absolutely, because this is a very visible project. Your neighbors take note, or your clients' neighbors take note. Rather, and maybe asking the homeowner already, hey, how are they doing for you? Would you recommend them? And that's a natural handoff.
Yeah, absolutely. But ask every step of the way, right? After the presentation. I mean, look, some people are going to be amazed by your presentation, and that's all they need to see. So ask that. Some people might say, well, let me hold off and see what you do. Some people might be amazed when you get the adjuster to pay for their roof. Cool, then I'll get a referral. Some people might say, well, let's see what you do with that. Some people, what I'm saying, everyone's going to be impressed with something, and they're not all going to be impressed with the same thing. So ask all along the way.
Yep. No, that's an excellent point. And overall, great points you've made so far today in the conversation. Thank you so much for sharing how contractors should approach managing their leads and sales pipeline, and all of the other customer interactions along the way. We can definitely see how getting the right tools and the right processes can make a big difference in lead development and making deals. So if contractors want to learn more about getting the right lead management process in place, getting the right tools, checking out Acculynx, where should they go?
So I think there's a link in the description below
Mhm.
that we've put together. It's a special link for Signpost customers. If you go, or anybody watching this, I guess, if you go click on that link, that'll let you set up a demo, right? If Acculynx is a good fit for you, man, we would absolutely love to have you on. If not, then maybe you'll learn something. You'll take some ideas back, and as you go down your exploration of your different options out there, maybe now you'll know a little bit better what is going to be the right fit for you. But there's a link down below. By all means, check that out. We always love talking to people. You can always find us on Facebook and LinkedIn and all the other cool places where the cool kids hang out. You can find us all over the place. And of course, at various Catalyst Group events as well.
Yes, indeed. We'll add the link for the Catalyst Group as well. And if you're a contractor interested in improving your online presence and getting a healthy lead pipeline going, get in touch with us at signpost.com.
Yeah.
Finally, be sure to hit the subscribe button in the YouTube channel to get notifications about the next Contractors Corner release.
Fun.
Thanks again, Matt. Really appreciate it.
Always
Any parting thoughts?
Well, like I said, can I give a quick little 30-second, 60-second pitch on Acculynx? Since we're here, right? So look, Acculynx is, in my humble opinion, the leading contact management system really for the contracting industry, right? We were one of the first ones to come to market to specifically make something for the contracting industry. And we were founded by a roofing company who just had a need for his own product. And then he started to realize that, hey, his friends and his competitors, they don't have anything either. So that's really how it was started up. And of course, we've grown to being able to help thousands and thousands of contractors around the country at this point with not only lead management, but estimating and tracking dollars and reporting and production and so many more things, right? Than I can even have time to talk about today before they kick me off this thing. So look, if you are interested in that, I mean, I don't stick around here for the software. I stick around here for the people. Okay. And it's not only the people that I work for, like you guys watching it, but also the people that I work with, because we all care about you guys, right? That's really what we're here for. A lot of our awards that we've won have been around culture and people and a great place to work. And that really does shine in the product, in the software, in the support that you get for that. So look, there's lots of software options out there. If we're the right one for you, man, I would absolutely love to have you join us. And if not, then I wish you well, because we ultimately just want you to be successful with whatever platform that works out to be. So if there's anything we can do to help you, if you have any questions, throw us a line and we'll be happy to shoot straight with you and work with you from there. So Laura, thank you so much for having me on here. I always love these things. It's a lot of fun.
Thank you for joining. And thank you for that final closing point on how important it is to not only find the right software for your business, but also partner with the right team that's going to help you implement it and use it properly.
Absolutely.
Thanks again, Matt.
Thanks so much, Laura, and Signpost. Appreciate it. Take care.
Take care.